everybody, it's Mecha Draco coming to you with another video, and in today's video we're going to be going over something a little bit different. What we're going to be going over is a song that actually has come out here as of recently, that I actually, to be honest with you, actually kind of like. I mean, justifiably it's actually a semi-decent song. It actually sounds rather good, but the song itself has got some issues, got some definite issues it wants to talk about. So let's just get right into what it has to say.
Life is so easy for the straight white man.
So that's right, everybody. We are going over the Straight White Man video. Yep, that's right. In this day and age, it just can't be anybody's fault but the straight white man's fault. He's the only one who gets away with anything, and he is the only person who can't do anything. It's always his fault, and he can't do anything. So, whatever. So let's just go ahead and get into the rest of this video so we can actually go over the insanity that is this video.
A woman can't do all the things we can.
Women can't do all the things we can. Wow, what a statement. What a statement. They are so edgy and so, virtuous. Look, there are a lot of things in society that I think are problems for women. I'm not saying that there aren't problems for women, but let's be honest here, there are probably plenty of problems for men too. So why is it all one-sided? All the white women, all the women out there can't do anything that the straight man can. They can't do what we can do. Now, don't get me wrong. I get that they have to rhyme a lot in this particular song, and they have to make it sound good and everything like that, so there might be a little bit of hyperbolic here and there, and so on and so forth, but the kind of sense is that they're just throwing out these outlandish statements that have to just be believed.
Walk in the dark and feel secure. Do the same job but get paid more. We wear what we like and we don't get shamed. We don't get raped and then get blamed. Is it so hard to understand? Life is so easy for the straight white man.
Life is so easy for the straight white man. Yeah, we don't get blamed for our own rape. Yeah, we just don't get believed when we're raped. Yeah, we don't get believed at all when we're raped. I mean, I get that this is, like I said, again, in the previous statement, I get that this has to be hyperbolic. I get that this has to be, rhymed, and it has to sound good and everything like that. But they're obviously throwing out, like, facts that they just know are true because it's got to be true. And I realize I took a little bit of extra time there to let it sing the whole song, but that was mostly because of the fact that it was singing about the whole women's issues all at once. So just covering it all. So let's just try to cover that all in one go. Obviously, my opinion is that I, again, believe that there are women's issues. Oh, but there are so men. There are men issues too. I think we live in a pretty equal society where there are both men and women's issues. And everything that they state are pretty much false statements, like women get paid less in the workplace. Now, I'm not saying that there aren't locations where that actually does occur, because I actually have talked to a couple of people who do, in fact, actually testify that there are locations, even in the Western world, in the United States, that do, in fact, pay their women less, and they get away with it. How they get away with it, I don't know. I mean, my guess would be is it's probably a big loophole, probably has something to do with like all these different combination of things, but regardless, they get away with it. And it's illegal, and it's a problem. It needs to be fixed. I agree. But it doesn't happen literally everywhere. That's probably one of the biggest problems you always find when it comes to all this crap. They act like it's literally everywhere. You can't. Oh, and then of course when someone says that it doesn't happen where I live, then they just call you privileged. Okay, well 75% of the country says that it doesn't happen. Let's just say it's 75% of the country that says it doesn't happen. That means that there's a lot of problems. So stop saying that it's the whole country that's messed up. Go after the parts that are. See, that's one of the biggest problems. Everybody who says that these things are problems, like women getting harassed and no one cares, women getting harassed because of what they wear, women get raped and then blah, 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 all this bull crap like that, they just claim that it's the whole of society when in reality it's only parts of it. And instead of actually focusing their ragedom on the parts that are causing the problem, they focus all of their attention on everybody because everybody's to blame. You know, the really funny thing about this particular ad is that I've actually seen an ad similar to it. Now, again, it wasn't in this particular image itself, but it, you know, because I know where they got this image. It was for one of the Beachbody Ready women's ads thing, which I don't understand why that's a problem, because are you Beachbody Ready? I mean, don't you want to look good when you get into a swimsuit? I mean, I would. I wish I could look good. But regardless, the fact is that I've seen images like this for men. Like, it's not the specific ad or anything like that, but it's not like men don't get that same kind of attention. And that's the other thing that always bothers me is and the fact that nobody goes over it either. I mean, I don't really care. I mean, look at me. I don't care. But the fact is that everybody always goes over the fact that, well, women have to have this weird image on themselves by about being beautiful and everything like that. And they all have these completely impossible beauty images that they have to try and strive for that no one can ever strive for. Well, my point is, number one, is that beauty images exist because of the fact that society as a whole agrees that this is the most beautiful image. And the fact of the matter is that they do the same thing for men. They do literally the exact same thing for men. You can probably find almost any image for a woman in this way. You could probably find one for a man. And I'm not saying that you can find it maybe 100% of the time. There might be like one or two that you can't find a copy for. But let's be honest here. They have just as much of a impossible body image for men as they do for women in this society. So I really don't know why this is a problem.
Life is so easy for the straight white man. The gays can't do all the things we can. We can have sex and get married as well. And the church won't tell us that we're going to hell. No one minds us having a child. People don't assume that we're pedophiles. It's hard if you're gay and worse if you're trans. But life is so easy for the straight white man.
So another big little chunk of the song for us to unpack, this time about the gays, the LGBTQ plus a whatever it is at this particular point. As some of you guys may or may not know, I myself am bisexual, so I do understand some of the stigma that comes from that. The biggest thing, though, is that I understand and know that the stigma is not nearly as big as they make it out to be, or at least in most circumstances. I believe, again, this falls a lot under the same circumstance as, say, like women's issues. There are probably problems here and there. There are probably places and states and cities and other things like that do in fact have problems with gays, with whatever. Again, similar to women's issues, I have in fact discussed this with individuals who have dealt with like being fired by their workplace because of the fact that they're gay. Now, obviously, of course, this is one of those workplaces where it's like, oh, it's a free hire, free fire kind of state or something like that. So they don't really have to tell you that they're firing you because you're gay, but it's in the Bible Belt. There's no other real reason why they would be firing you in this situation. You know, it's kind of one of those really obvious reasons why they're firing you is because of this reason. But the fact is that I don't necessarily disagree that there aren't still problems out there for the LGBTQ whatever community to have to still deal with. It's just the same problem with women. There are still just as many issues out there for everybody else. And you're not special just because you have issues. And maybe you should be focusing on the places that are actually a problem, that are actually causing issues in our society for these people, instead of just saying that it's everybody's fault. Ah, why does everybody hate the gays? Ah.
Life is so easy for the straight white man. The blacks can't do all the things we can. See the police and get left alone. No one ever tells us to go back home.
So I just wanted to cut the video off real quick right there, because all I had is, I wanted to make a statement on that particular part where he says that they tell him to go home. Nobody tells us to go home. Who tells a black man to go home? I mean, if you want your ass beat, sure, you could tell him to go home. And I don't know of a cop who would ever say something like that either, because they'd just probably be labeled as racist and get kicked out of the force like almost immediately. Mind you, I also live in the South where that kind of shit is frowned upon, so I mean, whatever. And I also want to point out here that they constantly talk about these police officers and everything like that, and all I can think to myself is, I'm just as terrified of cops, if not more so, than most of these other individuals that are out there, regardless of what their skin color is. And I can guarantee you the reason why I'm afraid of cops ain't because of my skin color.
And we're much less likely to go to jail because the system is biased against black males. The system fails unless you're pale. Life is so easy for the straight white male.
Let me just start off by saying that everybody's got problems. If you exist in this world, doesn't matter who you are or what you are, you've got problems. I should know. I have a few. But the point is that when you go around saying that it's everyone's fault, when you go around saying that it's all of society's fault, then the problem can't actually be located and solved. When you go around saying that whites don't go to jail at all and only blacks go to jail, because that's pretty much what he just said, then you kind of exclude the whole fact that there are actually white people in jail. The Aryan nation in jail wouldn't exist if there weren't white people. The problem I have with all of it is simply the fact that nobody wants to actually look at the issue, find out what the actual problem is, and instead they just blame society for it. It's essentially gotten to that point to where it's just, I'm going to blame society for everything. It's not my fault. It's not these people's fault. It's not thing. It's all of society's fault. It's all of society because society itself doesn't just slowly evolve over time, and that it hasn't been evolving since like the dawn of time, and that our existence today, our society today, is different than it was 50 years ago. Hell, I could even justifiably say that our society today is probably different than it was 20 years ago. And with the casual working that we're going through now, more than likely 3 or 4 years from now, society is going to look a lot different. I can already tell. But the fact is, when you blame society for all of our problems, despite the fact that it's constantly changing and evolving, you don't actually address the actual problem within society or within a segment of society or something else along those particular lines. You don't address the actual problem doesn't get fixed. And that's the problem I think most people have. And I think that's the issue that most of us here within the skeptic community, though I would never consider myself one, most of us probably think to ourselves that the reason why we don't agree with anything they have to say is simply because they're not telling us what's actually the problem. They're just blanket statement, it's everyone's fault. Everyone's to blame, especially the white straight males. So anyways, guys, I certainly hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you guys did, you guys know the drill by now. Go and hit that like button if you liked it. If you really liked it, go and hit that share button. And of course, if you loved it and you haven't already, go and hit that subscribe button. If you'd like to keep up with my videos, definitely hit that notification button. And of course, as always, guys, good luck out there. And don't forget to have fun.